What's hard about trying to find a baseball instructor that's good is that there's no such thing as like an MLB certification. And if there was, you wouldn't really want it right now. The hitting coaches, many of them, they're in the big leagues. They are kind of just going off like what they learned when they were, playing pro ball or whatever. And there's no one there to quality check that. There's no like peer review to say that that's right or that's wrong. So you kind of have to use your gut instinct with regard to who you select as your hitting instructor. But that said, as a parent or as a player that's trying to like look for someone who's good at this stuff, you just have to look at their information and figure out whether it's logical and makes sense or not. Hitting's not super complex. The ball's coming down, you need to swing up a little bit, and you need to use your hips first so you can use the most weight in your swing. But other than that, hitting isn't really rocket science. There's plenty of dads and moms that speak hitting on a really, really high level that like I work with. That said, the reason for that is really interesting as well. Like, imagine that you went to school, and I'll just use like what I studied in school. I studied biology and chemistry in school. So if I went to school for that, right, and I got done school and I went up to one of my friends that was still in high school, and I was like, hey, like I studied biology and chemistry. It really was great for me. I learned a lot. And that person got offended that you would even suggest that they didn't know biology and chemistry that well. That's the dynamic that we're dealing with a lot of these old school coaches. You've got to understand that they've built their 30-year career on what they thought made sense. Even if what they thought made sense was just because they had a coach along the way to tell them that that was what was right. You're taught at like an early age to, like respect elders and like listen to them, but you've got to like really try to develop understanding and, come up with a rationalization for everything that's told to you to figure out whether it's right or not. And that couldn't be more true in hitting and in baseball and softball, because there's a lot of people that are just saying things that just don't make any sense. And if you just listen and apply like blindly, then what's going to happen is your swing is going to get worse, and you're not going to be playing baseball and softball for very long unless you're like a super plus athlete or you're really, really big. So if you're a small guy and you're watching this, you don't have a choice but to learn to move better, because once you get on the big field, you're not going to hit the ball as far as everyone else. And that's what happened to me, honestly. Like, I got into 7th and 8th grade, and the bats got bigger, and my dad all of a sudden was like, oh no, like something's really, really wrong with your swing, because I like didn't get a lot of hits. I couldn't hit the ball out of the infield. I couldn't hit doubles. I was just really small, and I didn't really like modify my swing as a small person to be able to hit the ball further to become valuable to the team. Yeah, I didn't strike out because I had good hand-eye coordination, but in 7th and 8th grade, I was an awful hitter, and really the only value that I was bringing to the team was that I could throw strikes. I had like an okay curveball, and that I was a good fielder, but I certainly wasn't providing value to the team as a hitter. And then in high school, I got a little bit bigger, got a little bit stronger, and I got to a point where I could consistently hit the ball into the outfield, and I turned out to be okay. But that happens to a lot of younger guys, and what happens is when you're in a more competitive school, you just get cut. And that's a bummer, but every single person that starts playing baseball, one day they're going to have someone tell them that they can't play baseball anymore. And whether that's a high school coach that cuts you from the team, a college coach that cuts you from the team, those that are lucky enough to play pro ball, a pro ball coach that cuts you from the team, or you get done Little League and you're all done. But regardless, someone's going to tell you that you can't play, or you're going to elect to not play anymore. And most people that really love baseball, at one point they're told that they can't play anymore and that they're not good enough. And unfortunately, if you don't invest in trying to use as much body weight as you can in your swing, that can be you earlier than you want it to be.